Citizens of North Reading, hello. Welcome to the program. My name is Lori Capizzuto, and I'm pleased to bring you this forum regarding the upcoming election on May 6th for candidates to our Board of Selectmen. As you may know, there are 2 open seats for which 5 individuals are running. With that said, I am pleased to introduce you to one of those candidates, Marcy Bailey, who's running for re-election to the board. Mrs. Bailey. Hello.
Thank you, Mrs. Capizzuto. I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Marcy Bailey, and I'm candidate for North Reading Selectman in the upcoming May 6th election. I've been on the Board of Selectmen since February 2002. My husband and I live here in North Reading, obviously, with our 2 children, a son and a daughter, and I've lived in town for 8 years now. I have a degree in journalism from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, and I have extensive experience, financial experience, as a financial editor on Wall Street at 2 bond rating agencies, and also as a financial writer for the business section of the Boston Globe. In the past year, I have seen head-on the challenges that face North Reading and that face selectmen in North Reading, and I'd like to be a part of that for another 3 years to try to make a difference in our town going forward. As a selectman, my goal is to be accountable, efficient, and effective to represent the best interests of the voters here in North Reading. That's the fairest way to go forward, and that's what I will do for all the voters here in town. Thank you.
Tell me, what do you consider your key accomplishments as a member of the board?
It's been a very active year as a member of the board here in North Reading, and there are a couple accomplishments that I would like to highlight. The first is the incentive program, which is aimed at getting our employees, who are the most knowledgeable about what goes on in our town day to day, thinking about efficiencies in running both our town government, and the school department is also participating. And employees will be awarded with recognition from the Board of Selectmen, and also with a $100 award for giving forward money-saving solutions or revenue-generating ideas that can make our town run more efficiently. That program's just gotten underway. A committee of employee peers has been established, and they will review those suggestions and go forward. Other important things, I think, is an elderly exemption article that's on this April's town meeting warrant, and that came about after I read about a detailed change in Mass General Law that will allow us to help the neediest of our elderly more. So I'm proud to have followed through and seen that be on the warrant. I've worked with the library in the difficult budget situation that we face to maintain their certification, which citizens of North Reading have let me and I think the entire Board of Selectmen know is a really important effort for them to have a certified library. I also work as part of the Taxation Aid Committee, and while that's just ramping up, we've worked hard to start initiating criteria so that when we get enough money in that fund, and for those who don't know, that's a fund also aimed at helping the elderly and needy in town, that we have proper criteria and proper procedures in place. So I'm a liaison to that committee, and we've worked hard there. And this might be a smaller thing, but something that I'm particularly proud of is a vote had come up twice this year to issue a liquor license to a bowling alley in town. And I was proud to side with the majority there in not granting that license. I think that we need to keep family establishments here in North Reading where the entire family can go and have fun, and everyone can know that their children are safe. And also what came up in the budget process this year is that the police see additional pouring licenses and liquor license to pour beverages as basically a driver, a cost driver for the police department. So I think to the extent that we can limit that and keep North Reading a family environment in some ways and in some votes, I'm particularly proud of that. And finally, citizens might have heard, as part of the budget process, we went through a benchmarking, and we compared ourselves to peer towns to see where we fell and whether we were spending our money wisely, and like other towns, to make sure that we didn't have any outstanding issues that we should look at. So I'm proud of all that hard work during this year, and I hope that it makes a difference to North Reading.
You mentioned the importance of liaisons. It brings me to my next question. In terms of division within the community, anyone who regularly reads the transcript can see a certain division within the community and basically a lack of confidence in town government in general. How do you propose to allay those fears as a selectman?
Well, I think that's a real concern in North Reading and something that I would like to focus on. I don't know if citizens know, but all North Reading selectmen have liaison assignments, and we're each a liaison to about 8 committees. During this past year, I've been the liaison to the Community Planning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Taxation Aid Committee, the Land Utilization Committee, the library, and in my spare time, the VOTEC. And I think that I've really maintained a very active working relationship with those committees and the chairs, and in bringing their concerns and the issues that are top for them this year to the Board of Selectmen. And I think that I've earned a certain respect and reputation as someone who works hard and is willing to listen to all sides of the issues, and I would certainly continue that over the next 3 years. I guess further that I think we need an open dialogue with the school committee and with the finance committee and the Board of Selectmen, and I work well with the people who currently sit on those committees and will continue to do that, and really foster mutual respect and that kind of relationship going forward. And I would stress that mutual respect is not a rubber stamp for another committee. What it is a level of working together and compromising for what's best for our town. And I think that that level of cooperation and mutual respect is what will get us to move forward.
How do you address the accountability in government? For example, some in town have suggested an audit. Mm-hmm. How would you address that? Mm-hmm.
Accountability as well is an important and critical question in North Reading. First, I'd like to say that I believe that all employees in North Reading take their jobs very seriously and do the best that they can for the taxpayers in the town. That said, an audit is an interesting idea. I think that we've started addressing this year maybe some of the issues that might be considered as part of an audit. Firstly, under Mass General Law, we're required to undergo a financial audit each year, and our auditing firm comes in regularly and does that, makes sure that money is spent where it's said it's being spent, and that includes general oversight of the school department and make sure that the school reporting is accurate.
And every reporting agency in town basically will go through this process.
Oh, sure. And in the past years, there have been minor fixes of things needing to be reported in other accounts, but really no major flaws, and that will go on annually as required by Mass General Law. I think the second thing that was new to North Reading that was initiated this year is that after Chairman of the Board of Selectmen John Murphy and I attended a Mass Municipal Association conference last June, we heard the Division of Local Services speak, and that they actually offer free to towns essentially another kind of audit. Yeah, free. And we took that up. We contacted the Division of Local Services. They came out and performed a detailed financial review that showed that we can be more proactive in some areas, such as technology. But other than that, that there was no inherent flaws in the reporting or the way money is spent in North Reading. So I think that's a second thing. The third thing we did this year was to undertake the benchmark or the peer analysis against other communities, like communities in population, and found out while there were some variations, none of them were tremendously outside the norm, and there's no glaring error where we're spending money inappropriately. So I think those are 3 areas. I think it's important for the Board of Selectmen to balance healthy oversight, not micromanagement. There is a difference between those two, and I would encourage healthy oversight of all town departments. Now, back to your question of an audit, which I'd like to answer directly, I think that I'm not inherently against an audit. I think that we would need to develop a process and procedure that at the end, when it's done, and it's going to cost us some money, that we have the answers that people seem to so desperately want, and answers that cannot be found in any of the other 3 procedures.
Do you think that an audit like this, as you say, the answers that a particular audit might give us would differ from the general audit the town already goes through, or?
I have no reason to believe that. There's been nothing indicated that would say that another firm coming in and auditing would show something different. I have no reason to believe that. But again, if there's a different process and procedure that will get us answers that we don't have now to questions we maybe haven't asked, and at the end we'll say, wow, we have something now that we didn't have before, and we can go forward and everyone can have a little more confidence in government, I would welcome that, as long as it's new information, because if we're spending money, it better be money well spent for something we don't have already.
Thank you. Let me turn a little bit now to some of the specific issues facing North Reading. There's been more upward pressure on residential real estate taxes than on commercial properties in town. Do you support a dual tax rate to relieve that trend?
Mm-hmm. It's been a fascinating period in residential real estate, and there has been tremendous growth in property values, not only in North Reading, but throughout the entire region, really. I would say for now that I do not support a dual tax rate. I think that we need to embark on other areas near term to beef up the amount of commercial property here in North Reading before a dual tax rate will really do much good for residents. I think that we can work in cooperative effort with businesses, and one idea that I've proposed is well, if I can step back, I guess, to put a cooperative effort between business, citizens, and the town in place that would gain us revenue. For example, putting coupons into town mailings. It would benefit the town by getting advertising revenue. It would benefit the businesses by having people who receive the coupons patronize businesses they perhaps otherwise might not. And finally, it would benefit residents of North Reading for getting discounts to local businesses. So kind of a shop at home program, if you will, that would encourage businesses to stay and expand in North Reading. Longer term, we have the development of the Berry property. Unfortunately, the Selectmen have just gotten word from the state that the closing of that property is put off a year till 2005, so it doesn't need to be closed on until then, and the development is going to take a while. So I don't think that we can look toward the dual tax rate for meaningful relief in the near future. Just another example, some data I brought with me to show that kind of the imbalance and what it would do if we shifted 10% of the tax burden to businesses. For a business and a home valued at $300,000, the homeowner would see their taxes reduced just slightly over $60 a year, but the businesses would see their taxes increased at over $350 a year. And I think it's that and the cooperative effort and the charitable contributions that businesses make to the town. We want to find a way to foster that rather than just say, let's shift the burden and that will solve our problems.
Which would probably have just the opposite effect in terms of businesses here. You feel.
Perhaps. We have a lot of small businesses in North Reading, and I think that we need to keep, obviously, homeowners' concerns in the forefront, but we can't make a decision that's going to damage business and later come back to bite the homeowner. So I want to approach that carefully and approach that perhaps with some innovative solutions rather than just saying, let's shift the burden.
Another issue that has seemed over the last several years to polarize the community is the school building issue. Where do you stand on renovation of the Batchelder School, especially in light of the current economy and the likelihood that there will be little or no state reimbursement on a project like that?
Well, I guess first I'd like to say it really is unfortunate that we are where we are now and lacking state reimbursement and having a more expensive project than we might have otherwise. That said, the renovation of the Batch is absolutely necessary to provide our students with a safe and effective environment where they can be educated. So I do support renovation of the Batchelder School. I think that it's incumbent upon the selectmen and other leaders in the town to seek other areas of financial assistance so that the whole cost is not borne by the taxpayer, even if state reimbursement is unavailable.